Okay. All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Central Massachusetts Regional 911 District Operations Board meeting on Monday, December 8th, 2025 at 12:01 p.m. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with Massachusetts Open Meeting Law. A quorum of the board is present in person and virtual, and this meeting is also being made accessible to the public via Microsoft Teams to ensure transparency and public participation. This meeting is being recorded for accuracy of minutes and for the public record. If anyone else is recording, please state so for the record now. Thank you. We will proceed with the agenda. So first off, let's do a roll call. Please state your name, rank, and agency.
Ryan Quinn, Deputy Fire Chief, Rutland. Nick Monaco, Chief of Police, Rutland.
Frederick Herring, Chief of Police, Ocam.
Elizabeth DeFosi, Deputy Director, Central Mass Regional.
Michael Moriarty, Executive Director, Central Mass Regional.
Bobby,
Go ahead.
Chief Hubbardston.
Adam Lavoy, Fire Chief Warren.
Gary Millette, Police Chief Warren.
Awesome. All right, let the record reflect that a quorum is present. Item is meeting minutes acceptance. Are there any corrections or amendments to the meetings as presented in the email that was sent out? None. Motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Sorry.
Okay. Let's change this. All right, so as of our last meeting, legally, when I was elected as chairperson of the operations board, it's not acceptable. So we have to, in accordance with the district agreement, have to re-elect a chairperson of the operations board. It's prohibited by the director to hold that position. You guys can, in the long run, delegate running the meeting to the director, but someone has to hold that chair position. So
What are the responsibilities?
those were sent out a while ago, but ultimately you maintain the agenda order of the actual meeting. So you pretty much run the entire meeting, but you can have the director go through the items.
Moderator.
Pretty much moderator, yeah.
You'd be reading like what he's doing right now.
I would like to make the motion to nominate Deputy Fire Chief Ryan Quinn to be the chairperson of the committee.
Second.
All in favor? Say
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Congratulations, Ryan.
Yes.
All right. So next thing up is on the agenda. Oh, well, through the chair. Would you like me to continue the meeting?
Yes, Director.
Awesome, thank you. So next item up is TAC 1, TAC 2. So like I stated in previous emails and other meetings, this was submitted for during the March development grant submittal. This past March was awarded in late June, at the end of June, and a purchase order was submitted 3 days after the award, and equipment was purchased. We just received notification as of today that the equipment has made it through production and has shipped and possibly at the vendor's facility at the moment. The next process with the equipment is to put it into staging, which is ultimately just going through and programming all the necessary PLs and other frequency portions of the repeaters. After staging, it'll go into the installation process, which is still slated for January 1 for it to be installed. If the vendor can make it happen prior to Christmas or shortly after Christmas, they will do that. It is a high priority for them. This will affect just Barry, Hubbardston, Ocam, and Rutland. This does not affect Warren at all, but it's in process. It's there, so hopefully we'll have that soon. There'll be no end user requirements for TAC 1. For TAC 2, the vendor will have to go out and touch every portable and cruiser radio to insert new PLs for that to actually work as a repeated channel. So that may not happen January 1. That may be part of a second phase of the scope of work, which will come after, but we'll get TAC 1 back up and operational as soon as possible. Again, that's in the vendor's hands. I have no control at the moment. So any questions regarding TAC 1, TAC 2? Perfect. Second item is the South Barry Tower. We, for the Barry people that are not here, we did meet with the planning board last week, have received their permitting process, and we're starting to do that process now and work through that. The installation process for this tower should be fairly quick, as it's not a full tower like in Rutland, Ocam, or Hubbardston. It is a small, almost like a monopole tower, 80 foot. It'll be installed behind the fire station at Barry Station 2 and should be a quick install. It's only being backhauled by fiber, so no microwave needed. So it'll be a quick process. That will resolve all the issues for South Barry. And then we're going to look at West Barry over by the trailer park on Gauthier Road, that area of Barry, and add that as part of the submittal of this year's development grant process to resolve the final issues in Barry, to conclude their radio issues. Any questions? Perfect. Yes, sir.
The South Barry Tower, will that aid Ocam and our issues with that end of town?
Yes, we also have, so I did not put this on there, but it's technically part of old business, but Ocam's antennas that are on the tower right now are going to be changed out. Those are bi-directional antennas, so they point one way and one way only. So the spread of the radio frequency is going in one pattern and doesn't hit everywhere. We, in a previous grant, had the money for that. I'm just waiting for that antenna to arrive. It's going to be an omnidirectional, so it's ultimately a circle, so it'll spread out everywhere. So that part will actually improve Ocam drastically more than the South Barry Tower.
Oh, good.
South Barry Tower will give you some, but the antenna replacement in Ocam is going to drastically change reception for Ocam, that side of Rutland and Barry, because it's going to broadcast a lot more out than just pointing in one direction and out.
Excellent.
Any other questions regarding that? Perfect. Hexagon CAD update. So myself and a couple of the elected people that are part of the CAD integration group, which is the police chief from Rutland, the lieutenant from Barry, and the sergeant from Ocam, have been doing workshops over the last month or two, learning how to configure the system. So we're moving forward in the next couple of workshops. We'll actually start doing the actual configurations of the system. And soon after that, start the process of training people to utilize records for the police side. This doesn't affect anybody on the fire side, as that process is still going to be ESO, as the board elected previously. We're trying to time ESO with Hexagon at the same time, because the district can't afford to pay for a maintenance agreement for Hexagon, TriTech, and ESO all at the same time. We kind of have to be ready to go live with Hexagon and ESO at the same time, so that we don't have to pay that $70,000 to $80,000 maintenance fee for IMC, because we don't have the extra funds to pay for that. So we're trying to time this accordingly. It's still looking like for Hexagon is October, so we're almost looking end of the year transitioning for everybody. If it's better for the fire departments to push it till January, we can do that, but that'll be up to the fire departments what they want to do with that process. But it's still scheduled as of right now for Hexagon is October of this year coming up. Any questions regarding the Hexagon CAD?
What's ESO?
ESO is the fire records system, so it's their records management, where Hexagon doesn't have it for them. It's just PD and the CAD. So they're going to use a fire system. It'll integrate with our CAD, so they don't lose anything. And just to clarify with the data, I know we talked previously that only 5 years of current data will be imported. It's actually all going to be imported, so we won't have to juggle between 2 separate systems to get data for the PD out of that. So it's everything's coming over. Just wanted to clarify that.
Speaking of IMC,
Yes.
I know you kind of been a point person.
Yep.
Have they reached out to you at all about a
NERAs.
nearest?
So not as of now. I believe Troy from Hubbardson did just email me as well with a question about NERAs. So I plan on reaching out to them today to get an update. As of our last email chain that we had with IMC, they said that they would be compliant by the state deadline, but they couldn't give us an actual date of when they would be compliant ready. So I'll try to ping them today to get a better answer from them.
On that timeline, when does data migration start?
We'll be actually starting data migration very shortly. So I'm supposed to be contacted by the company that's going to do it soon to start that process. That'll happen in the background as we're doing these workshops. That will be started, and then we'll have to have members from every agency, PD wise, that can go in and confirm that data is being transferred over appropriately and everything's being transferred over that you guys needed transferred over. So I think we already have 3 out of the 5 communities. So we'll need someone from Hubbardson PD as well as Warren PD to confirm the data migration as we move forward. So Chief Millette, if you want to elect yourself or someone else from your agency to do that, just keep that in mind that you'll have to elect someone in the near future to make sure that the information that they're looking at in IMC is the same as what they're looking at in Hexagon as it's transferred over. Any other questions? Okay. One of the items that was in a previous meeting, the Tango retention, I think it was brought up by Lieutenant Collins from Rutland PD. We did fix the retention to meet Massachusetts state law for a year, with all messages being retained in Tango for a year. So now it is compliant with the retention laws. So I just wanted to bring that up. This next one, mutual aid ambulance assignment during.
Tango, Mike.
Oh, sorry.
The director, sorry. It seems like there was some changes where you could go back to like the radio transmissions as it was live, but then also go back into it. It seems like the setup changed. I haven't messed around enough with it to see if I can bring that back up. Is there something that's changed with that?
There shouldn't have.
Okay.
What's the issue that you're seeing right now? And I can look into it.
Yeah, it just it's like I forgot what it says, but you go to the page, and instead of having, it would have like every transmission, and you could pick up live, or you could go back and find like you go on a half hour before, and you could actually hear the radio transmissions and listen through. There's just like one message box, and that's it. So I don't see where those transmissions are anymore.
I'll definitely look into that, Chief, and I'll let you know. I was unaware of that
the only one that had that issue, so I didn't know if there was something with an update with it or something, or some permissions changed or something like that. But
yeah, I'll definitely look into that. I was unaware of that, so I'll definitely check into that for you and try to fix that.
okay.
Do with what happened. Any other questions regarding Tango? Okay. So now I want to.
I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Did they sort out that animal control issue?
Yeah, that is fixed. Yeah, so that he, I guess, forgot to make those changes. So after emailing him again, it's corrected, and I confirmed with Montessario that it was working. So it's all set.
Thanks.
All right, next item, mutual aid ambulance assignment during simultaneous tones. I'll turn it over to Deputy DeFosse to discuss this.
So we just wanted to touch base in, obviously, we implemented the auto aid on the initial tone when applicable. What my dispatchers are seeing now, though, is because we're still entering 2 calls for service, say we're toning Rutland and we're asking for mutual aid from Barry, where there's a delay in putting in Barry's call because they're EMDing and putting in Rutland's call and toning Rutland's call. So there's a delay for that second call. So we're wondering if we could, going forward, handle it like a structure fire call, in the sense that if we're toning initially 2 towns, so Rutland and Hubbardston, or Rutland and Barry would go on to Rutland's call. If there's a delay for whatever reason, and we're now asking for mutual aid after Rutland arrives because we need, ALS intercept or something additional, then we would break it up and have that mutual aid tone. But on the initial tone, if auto aid's required, we're wondering if we can put, Rutland's ambulance on Barry's call or Barry's ambulance on Rutland's call. Still get your own fire incidents, but just to help streamline the process for dispatch, because right now there is a delay. We can also send out the separate page notifications. Obviously, you've probably seen a little bit of a delay in that. That just goes back to our failing system, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But right now, we're just wondering if that makes sense for you guys, for us to assign the other town onto the initial call if they're toned at the exact same time.
If we said no, if we said no, what is that?
So right now, when we tone Barry for medical, there's no one on the board, and we're also toning Rutland. So fire alarm dispatching, Rutland fire, or Barry fire with Rutland mutual aid. There's a delay to get that second call in because one person is entering in the parties, talking to the person. So Barry's not, it's a lot of backtracking for dispatch. So now they have to go back, find out what time did I tone Barry? When was Barry en route? Or when was Rutland en route? Whoever's going to this other town. So it's a lot of just manual backtracking for
If you
dispatch.
attach Barry to Rutland's call.
Then
right away.
there's one call and we're just assigning Barry's unit to Rutland's call. So there's no
it
delay.
doesn't change anything.
It doesn't change anything.
Both will still get your incident numbers or PCRs as needed.
It's kind of like, how we do a structure fire right now. Everyone just goes on that one main call. We don't want to do it for everything. It would only be for when you're toned at the exact same time. Like I said, if we're still going to keep the mutual aid call reason, paramedic intercept. So anything additional later on, even if it's 5 minutes later and you guys are requesting a second ambulance because it was more patients at a car accident or something, Barry would still get their own call at that point. But if it's sent out at the exact same time, we want to put you guys on one call so we don't have to backtrack to get a second call in.
It doesn't change anything. We still get our own incident number and do our own report.
Chief Hayes, do you have any comment or?
Not specifically to that. I mean, kind of, one, I was going back, I was going to talk about this anyways, but like, what about how's it working for everybody? To me, there seems to be like, especially during the daytime, where you're getting toned out and mutual aid's getting toned out, but the ambulance is coming back into the response zone, but they can't say, we'll take the call. The other town's getting toned out. How's that for dispatch? Adding and taking care of 2 of them. I'm still a proponent of giving some time so we can get a radio transmission. There's been times where I'm leaving here. I've been off the board for 15 minutes. There's a call, but I can't say that I'm going to respond to that. And Barry's getting toned out to come over. So I don't know if there's a 30-second delay in that. And also for us, there were a couple incidences where this whole thing, we weren't even getting toned out, and it was the mutual aid that was responding to the town and not us initially, because they forgot all about us because they're doing both of them at the same time. So I was wondering how's it working out for everybody else. Maybe a 30-second delay would be something reasonable for everybody to deal with and give the dispatcher also time to handle those things in a little bit more timely fashion.
I think it's definitely, I mean, just real quick, it's definitely been a learning curve. There's been a lot of challenges. Specifically what we saw with you, we did pull that dispatcher off and put her, so it's a new dispatcher who was on an overnight shift. We took her back in for remedial training. I don't understand why people were missing that original town, because that's something that's never changed regardless of whether or not we were waiting. So I don't know where her disconnect was, but we did put her into our remedial training to make sure that she understood that. The whole process as a whole has been challenging in the sense that it's something new, but I think just from my perspective, even if we changed it now to a 30 seconds, we're still, because there's been so many changes lately, I think it's only going to add to the confusion for more mistakes to happen. That's what I think. I don't know what other towns are seeing though.
I think the only other town that's here that can answer to that is Rutland's.
Yeah, I mean, I do see your point, Chief. I don't disagree with it. I do see Liz's side too, also that it's gonna just aid to the confusion if we added a 30-second buffer. I gotta think about it. So there has been times like you are right. People are coming back from the hospital. And, you know, if it's Barry, they're going to Rutland, they could take the call. It's been toned, but there's no way of. Nobody knows that. Like it's not. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta think about it.
Do we want to table this so that maybe the next meeting, we can have the other two agencies that it mostly affects here to respond and input?
I don't have a problem with that.
All right, so we'll just table this for the next meeting, which we'll discuss after this as well. Next agenda item, fire incident number assignments. Again, I'll leave it up to Deputy Defoe.
Yeah, Barry and Ocam aren't here, so we might as well get ready to table this one as well because it only affects them. Warren, Rutland, and Hubbardson, we don't assign a fire incident number specifically to anybody. I'm pretty sure Tim Howe would be on board because he told me in the past he didn't care whether or not we assigned it to nobody or to him. And I suggested at the time, well, hey, I'm just gonna tell my people to give it to you because that's what we were already doing with some of the other towns. With Barry and with Rutland, then Rutland has since moved to a model like you guys. So we're just trying to make things easier for dispatch because training on how to do one thing 5 ways sucks. So we're trying to make it easier for them. So we can table this one as well, I think.
Any other questions? Okay. Next one, run guard announcements. Do you want to handle that as well?
Sure. So we're inquiring if you guys would be okay with, so before we had the auto aid, it didn't really come up before. If we had if Holden was asking for an engine from Rutland, we were toning it, fire alarm dispatching, Rutland Fire with the engine or whatever the case is. We're wondering if we're dispatching within our towns, if there's a need for them to announce the specific apparatus, or if it's okay to just announce the town. It takes a little bit more time, longer tones to announce both the town and the apparatus. Again, it's just within our towns. There's a lot more auto aid now, so we're pushing them for 60 seconds, but now they're trying to figure out which auto aid it is, which we did build into the system, so it makes it a little bit easier, but they're pulling out the books to figure out specific apparatus types as well. So we're just seeing how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, my people should know where they're going for what town, other than if it's like, Westminster or something. It might be, there's circumstances where we need to know what truck's going, but if it's in, Semrick, we should all know what's going where.
And we could even make this specific to just auto aid because that's where we're seeing the hang up right now with like the water rescue. they were trained on the water rescue auto aid, don't announce anything. They already know what to take. So now again, we're having a different type of auto aid introduced and we're saying, so now on this auto aid, you actually do have to announce. So again, we're trying to standardize how we do things to make it easier so that there are less mistakes in the future.
Because we also have different auto aids as well between the communities, you know, Rutland and Barry Ocam are the same, Hubbardston's different, Warren's different. So now we have 3 different auto aids there, as well as the water rescue auto aid, like,
As well as different auto aids within different districts in the same town for the same incident. So it's a lot for them to try to get something out within 60 seconds.
Right there. Tim?
it's creating room for error across the board without the standardization being implemented across the board. So that's what we're just trying to do, is try to standardize more of the protocols across the board, and hopefully the agencies can work with us and hopefully make that happen. But we'll open it up for discussion from everybody else if they'd like to add anything or any concerns, questions.
I'm just thinking like a situation like if Barry's calling us, mutual aid, you know, we now have our tanker, which is strictly a tanker, and we also have an engine. Our plan is if we have manpower, we'll send both. But we would need to know what they were requesting. It wouldn't be just they're requesting us mutual aid. They may specifically want a tanker or the engine.
Right.
Yeah. Now, if they're going off run cards though, and it's specified on the run card, now, is that something that you can train your people about the run card, or post the run card on the door, knowing that, hey, if Barry has a structure fire, we're supposed to take this and this, and that's on the run card? Because usually we're not deviating from the run cards. The run cards are specific to what they're going to want, depending on what district it is. Now, is that something that can be done on that end? You know, like that's not going to change. You know, they're going to, if it's a structure fire in District 1 and they want an engine, it's going to be an engine every single time. You know, is it something that can be worked on the fire department side, not just yours, Chief, but everybody's, to train in the personnel to know what piece of apparatus is going?
You know, anything's possible with that, but with all the different areas, like, yeah, you would have to know. I mean, there might be a few individuals that could remember all the surrounding towns and what their cards are. I don't even do, you know, have that. So yeah, we would have to be looking at our end at charts or a book, and have to have stuff in the apparatus with curtain run cards. It would have to be out prior, because you need to know which one. You know, you can't be in the tanker, open up the book, and if we're going to Barry in this section, they don't have hydrants, they want a tanker, and now we're in the engine. That's already too late. So it has to be something totally different than what we do now. It'd have to be, you know, charts and stuff set up, and it would be a little delay for personnel getting out the door, because they're going to have to look.
Are you talking like, so on our run cards, it spells out engine, tanker, ladder?
Yeah.
And under that, it says the town?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you speaking when you like go down and pick the town, it says Rutland Engine 1?
Yes.
Okay, so the way the run cards are, if we just erased engine 1 or whatever.
Well, we're still saying Rutland engine, you know, Rutland ladder, you know, Barry engine, you know, instead of the agencies just knowing or posting the cards on their doors. I know Barry has all their cards posted on the door, so no matter what town is toning out for a structure fire, they look at the door, they know what piece of apparatus is supposed to take out the door, depending on the district. If it's just, so Barry only has 2 districts, 1 and 2, and it's outlined what pieces of equipment are outlined on their cards.
I know.
I think too, you know, the more we talk about it, I think the auto aid piece is really what differs from the rest of the training. So if it was something we could standardize with just the auto aid, it would be helpful on the training side, just because again, they have that 60-second mark. They can hit all the tones, tone them out. But at the end of the day, you know, if it came to a second alarm or a third alarm, you know, they could announce it. That might be somewhere we can meet in the middle, but it really depends on, you know, you guys' thoughts on just knowing what is expected on auto aid. If that would make things easier, you know, as a way to kind of meet in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I think we might have to table this one too. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's hard to discuss run cards, because I'm fine with making it work for you guys. But it's kind of hard to do that one.
Yeah, I think having everybody here is beneficial, and I think a little bit later on in the agenda, we'll go over the reason why we're trying to standardize all this, because we're going to show what you guys are expecting the dispatcher to do as a single person. So we'll get into that a little bit later. So, Chief LaVoy, do you have something?
I was just gonna say, you know, I can understand what Chief Hayes is saying, in regard, I mean, we've had quite a few scenarios, and I was gonna bring something up later on that's going on, you know, over here. That some of our mutual aid communities are requesting specific pieces of apparatus at different times for different reasons. So it's been a little confusing for us. We do have a run card book that we do look at if they're, you know, for the people that are on duty here, and you know, so we generally know what they normally request, but there's been several instances lately where a town is requesting a tanker when they usually request an engine for whatever reason. So I guess, you know, for us is, you know, if it is a deviation from what they normally is, you know, it would be helpful for us to just be saying, you know, yeah, they're looking for a tanker, because we've had some water systems that have been down in some of these towns near us that they've had to request a tanker right away that they normally don't. So, yeah, I think we might need to have a little bit broader discussion on that.
Okay, and just so you know, for outside towns that we don't dispatch for, we want to keep that the same. Like if West Brookfield or Ware or someone calls over for you guys and they're asking for that specific piece of apparatus, we would be responsible for toning, just like if Holden called for, you know, Rutland. This is more for, again, you know, I keep saying it goes back to the auto aid side, but the auto aid that goes into some of these other towns is like Rutland has Ocam and Hubbardston and Barry. So it's more for if we are already dispatching for them, if they're part of our regional center is where we want to have to announce it during the auto aid. But if another town is requesting it, they would be. And our center doesn't really know what their norm is unless they pull up that run card. So I feel like they're used to just announcing the specific piece for outside agencies. So this is more for if it's internally being dispatched to other towns that we're dispatching for.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
So I think we're agreeing to table it. Okay, perfect. Next item is 209A services.
So we, in the future, right now, we don't do anything with 209As. We're not, well, we do. I can't say that, sorry. You're looking at me like, wait, we're dropping them off. We used to track, like hold physical copies for all the towns, as well as enter them. We don't have like a shut off date, but it's not something that we're going to offer in the future. Just because it's just, you know, it takes up time. And if something isn't entered correctly, it could come back on the dispatcher. Additionally, we in dispatch aren't using our in-house to look at 209As. We're pulling up their BOPs to find the 209As that way. So we're just throwing that out there that in the future, we're not going to be, we've already stopped for most of our towns, so we're not going to be tracking them or entering them in the future.
Is that something we vote on?
Well, you're the only town
You're
right
the
now
only
that we do it
So
for.
we're providing extra services to the
Yeah, we
town,
agree
Rutland,
there.
and not everybody else. So, and it's not, moving forward won't
I will
be,
accept it as another reduction in service.
Sorry.
it's fine. Any other questions?
Dispatch just missed. Yeah, I just missed the warrant.
Okay,
That's
let's
it.
back to the agenda. Any other questions regarding 209A services? No. Okay. Next, warrant arrests.
So this is more for planned warrant arrests, like when we have like a big sting that's going down. sometimes like we're really, obviously there's things that dispatch can be privy to, dispatch that, or and things that you might want to keep a secret. So totally understand that. When possible, if dispatch can have a heads up, like, hey, we're going to, and for the most part, we already do this. I had an example of one Maple Ave, they were going to arrest like 5 people there or something, and we were able to get all the arrest packets ready. And the plus is, you know, I'm free, I could do it then. They actually did end up going and arresting everyone, so I already had all the paperwork ready. If they weren't able, it just sits on dispatch's counter until they are arrested. So it just makes life a little bit easier when we're aware of it. And again, it's just, we're just throwing it out there that if there are big arrests, just, you know, if you're able to give us a heads up so we can prepare the stuff ahead of time while we're free, instead of, who knows, maybe a structured fire comes in, now we don't have all the arrest paperwork. We're just trying to be proactive when we can. So I'm just throwing that out there to include them when possible.
Any questions or comments regarding that?
Yes, that agreeable. And I regret the fact that you guys have to do arrest packets for everybody. I don't understand why we need a printed packet of papers that's at the officer's fingertips anyways.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're gonna cut something out. That's a good thing to cut out.
Past practice, so that's up to you guys. You guys
Yeah,
can-
what do you, I don't even know. What do you guys do with the paperwork? Does it go with you to?
No, it's
Put it in a file.
the dispatch is where you printed out the BOP, the triple I, the RMV record.
Q5, yeah.
Yeah, it's all stuff that's, when you're booking somebody, you sign the stages, it's all right there.
Mhm.
It's yes, I think it's just something that's become a habit that is added extra work for people. It's added extra work for you, and it's, how do I word this? A lot of officers to not double check
I got
work
you.
on it.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
So do you want to make a motion?
No,
Or
not
do you
yet.
want to wait until most majority? are
Yeah,
here
yeah,
to
that's.
Table
I
it.
think that's
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Okay.
right.
Chief, Millet, any concerns, comments on that from you?
I kind of agree with him that I think it's probably easier for them to check it on their own.
I agree with that too.
So we'll table this for the next meeting and we'll bring it up for a vote to possibly diminish that service. Any other questions regarding the warrant arrest packets?
For the record, I complained about changing the service, but then I also
Yes. Okay.
offered up.
Yes, you did. You did.
Fair trade.
Trade, yeah.
Next item is CPR feedback. I'll let Deputy DeFosse.
If you guys ever notice that, so basically we're just looking for feedback when dispatch is involved in a CPR call, like they're starting CPR on the phone prior to responders get there. If you're noticing that there's a significant difference, if that contributed to the person being saved. There's a bunch of different awards out there from the state, and we're looking to get our people recognized. We do CPR quite a bit, and we've never really, I recently reached out to a couple different towns to try to get feedback on whether or not, you know, the CPR that was performed for 3 minutes or however long before they got there, if that contributed to, you know, how did the person live, you know, was it effective? So I'm just looking for, in the future, if you notice that, you know, obviously I know you can't say 100%, maybe the person's doing crappy CPR when you get there, but we're just looking for some sort of feedback. We did have one of our towns say that, yep, the person lived and, you know, they were doing CPR for 3 minutes before the responders got there. So obviously that's nice to know. And then, you know, another town said, we don't know if it helped. So just if you notice something that the dispatcher is doing that, you know, contributed to a save or something, if you could just let us know. That's all we're looking for.
Sounds good. Good plan.
Okay, and the last item, the expansion update. So just to give you guys an overview, as of right now, myself and Deputy DeFosse have been working on this project. We currently have 6 communities signed on to the district who want to join the district. They haven't been formally accepted in. That is planned to take place on December 17th, administrative board meeting that will be held in Rutland at 9 a.m. at the Rutland Library. So everybody is welcome to attend that meeting to formally accept the six in. The six that were accepted were Spencer, Charlton, Sturbridge, Auburn, Oxford, and Sutton. I'm sure everybody's aware of Southbridge's stand-ins and what happened with them. It's been all over Facebook and social media. I don't think they're totally out at the moment. We're still working with them to try to still move forward. Their police department, police union, fire department, fire union, and the town manager are all for it. It just didn't pass through the council at their council meeting. So I think they're still working on that. And we have had discussions with Millbury, Northbridge, Douglas, and Uxbridge recently. So we're still working with them, still having our initial meetings like we did with the first 6 communities. And hopefully we'll have some kind of answer regarding these 5 prior to March 5th deadline of the development grant, which ultimately is our big plan with the State 911 department on where we're going to move at that point. Forward. So before we fully go into the full expansion, we just, myself and Deputy DeFosi have heard comments out and about, rumors or comments, whatever you want to call them, from certain officials out in the field, that how is dispatch going to handle this? There's current issues currently right now with the department, and how are we going to handle 6 more communities coming in? So we wanted to go through our current operational structure, highlight what the dispatcher is responsible for, and where the shortcomings are with support services for our agency are within the current operational structure, and then move into what the future will look like and how much additional resources we'll receive and be able to help move this district forward and provide the best services to all the communities that are part of the district. Any questions before I dive right in? All right, so currently right now, the current operations we're comprised of a director, deputy director. We have 2 supervisors working day and 3 to 11s. We do not currently have a supervisor on the overnight shift. I would love that, but I don't have the funds to fund that ability. And then we have our emergency telecommunicators, our communication training officers who handle all the training within the department, and then our public education liaisons, which is broken up into 2 roles. One role being providing 911 education to our schools, and then the other role is providing 911 education and other support services to the senior population at the senior centers. So we have 2 separate people who are in charge of both of those that can provide those services out to the agencies that we currently have. Today's model forces dispatchers to multitask at overwhelming levels, which can unintentionally place responders at risk. This is not at the dispatcher's fault. It is a limitation of the structure we all currently operate in, a structure now directly strained by rising call volumes, operational changes, and lack of resources. That's currently what we're facing right now. Deputy DeFosi, do you want to jump into this?
Sure. So we are considered full staff right now, but call volume over the last couple of years has gone up significantly. So we feel like fully staffed right now is understaffed. We would like to see 3 people on during the day and 3 people on mids. Right now, fully staffed, we have 3 people on mids, and when our last person who we're in the process of hiring, when they're released, it would put someone on days, a couple days, but not every day. And lately our day shift is busier than our mid shift. So, you know, in order for us to provide all of the services that we're already offering, we feel like full staff right now is actually understaffed. So we're going to be hopefully trying to get another person to just, take some of the burden off of our current dispatchers. We have 5 communities, obviously. We're doing different things for, we have one on the fire side more so. We have one call reason, and there could be 4 different ways to tone for it. So it makes training really difficult. And I just want to say, like, with the complaints that are coming in, it's hard and it's frustrating for me because our training program is 952 hours. It's 6 months long. We're not just throwing people in a seat. And it's, yes, 100% the complaints are justified, but it's frustrating because we're taking a really long time to make sure that everybody knows what they're doing. But because there's so many different exceptions, it's hard for people to remember. And it's not the person's fault, it's the system's fault. So a lot of these things in the future are going to be a lot easier. But right now we're putting a lot on our people and we're essentially setting them up to fail. And 952-hour training program, it could be less depending on how quick they learn, how much experience they've had. But that's a long time. And we're not keeping people just because we've already had them in for a certain amount of hours. If they don't make it, we're not keeping them. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So yeah, we're looking for to be able to standardize what we can just to make training a little bit easier. Right now we have call taker. The call taker is the police dispatcher, is the fire dispatcher. So they're taking the 911 call. They're providing emergency medical dispatch instructions, which is required by the state and required by our department. And that should be their only focus. It's not because of the model that we currently have, which isn't a model we can change right now because we need to up staff significantly to separate the roles. But we're putting a lot on our dispatchers. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Their attention with emergency medical dispatching by law or by standard, it shouldn't be interrupted for radio traffic that is unrelated to the emergency medical dispatching. It is because that's how we operate right now. But as call volume has gone up in all of our communities, we're seeing now the need for another person on the desk, not just on mid shifts. The model that we have right now, it's really hard to reasonably meet CAD accuracy, QA benchmarks, which 60 seconds for a priority 1. We consider a priority 1 every medical plus, domestic and high risk police incidents, high risk fire incidents, which deviates a little bit from national standards. Is more like a trauma medical is a priority 1, but we do every medical priority 1. So that needs to be out in 60 seconds. 90 seconds is our agency goal for non-priority 1, so priority 2, priority 3. And, we don't want to lower our standards and we're not going to lower our standards, but with them being a call taker and a dispatcher and having these new systems implemented, it has been a learning curve and a challenge, again, which is why we would like to upstaff in the future, but also just so you guys can understand what dispatch is currently facing. Our current model exposes dispatch to EMD deviation, like I just talked about, potential for delaying dispatch. There's potential for safety risks with our responders. Our CAD timeline inaccuracies, they're constantly listening back to fix times and adjust times before people get back so that report writing is correct. Supervision gaps, we have 2 supervisors, but they're on the desk. We have training officers that are on the desk. So training officer might be training someone, but they're also on the desk. So when stuff gets busy, they're no longer training. So it's a lot. Again, our staff isn't failing. The system is failing them. Common stress model indicators. As you can see here, blurting, CAD entry delays, overlapping 911 call, trainee failures, sick time increases, and forces in dispatch. It's not on here, but they're forced so much. Like right now, every call out is an overtime shift, which is usually a force. So there's a lot of things that we can prevent in the future that right now we can't. So a little bit more into the fire side of things and why it's really complex for dispatch is that, again, like I said, one tone or one fire incident could mean a different procedure for all of our fire departments. I think it's on the next one. Oh, no, it's not. So for example, this is a job aid. The fact that we had to color code it, I think says a lot. So the town colors on here match what tone it is on our radio console. So these are just our fire call reasons. Some of them are the same, but some of them are different. So for dispatch to try to remember, a smoke invest in Rutland is this tone, but in Barry, it's this tone. It's small deviations. That is what's making it a little bit hard, harder for our team to remember. And then these are our medicals. And now again, like we were just talking about, and to Hayes's point, the auto aid, I think the auto aid has been great, but the reason why it's been such a challenge is because it's now directly related to staffing or previous incidents. So they're getting in their own head about, okay, well, Rutland's on a medical, but they have 4 people on the board, so that means they can go to another medical, versus Rutland's on a fire alarm activation, which is an all call. So do they have enough people? So it's been challenging for them to try to remember the staffing portion of the call reasons and how that relates to what tones are needed. We're not going to get too much into it, but in the future, we would like to propose possibly and it's not going to affect most people in the room. It's really only going to affect Rutland and Barry, but if it's a medical, you have a medical tone. If it's not a medical, you have an all-call tone. It's just one less thing that dispatch has to think about. Hubbardston obviously only has one, you have nothing to worry about, but it's one less thing they have to worry about. Right now, they're thinking about, is it a non-duty? Is it an all-call? Do I need auto aid? How many people are on the board? So things are getting missed, but I think if we take away some of the things they have to think about, the auto aid portion of it isn't going to be that difficult to think about. It's just how we get there. So in less than 2 years, dispatchers had to adapt to continuous and significant operational changes. One of those things is the auto aid being added on the fire side. And again, we understand it's just when the auto aid was first pushed out, there was no training for dispatch. So just throwing that out there, I left in December 2022. When I came back, we had auto aid. I said, well, what is auto aid? Because it was just put in the fire books, but there was nothing to say what was expected of us. The only thing I had to relate it to was Rutland listens to Holden and they go because they hear Holden. Holden half the time never called us. So half my dispatchers were like, nope, I know I need to call them. And half of them were like, well, no one told me I had to call them. So just to explain how we kind of got here to where we are now. Then we had working fire, and then we had to redefine working fire. And then we have working fire and auto aid on some cards, so it's a lot for them to put together and learn without the proper training, which we have since sat down and had, but in the beginning, they just didn't know. The new IAR monitoring expectations, really, this is kind of just on the medical side of the auto aid. Again, I think if we could simplify some of the tones to start, that these things wouldn't be a big deal. So the system creates predictable human errors, and not because dispatchers are lacking skills, but because the system is fully manual. There's no standardization. There are staffing requirements, call load, incident types, everything's different for every town. So to train someone in 952 hours on the 20 different systems we use, and also this one incident has to be done 5 different ways, is a lot. So our model is 100% outdated. But in the future, life's going to be a lot easier, which we're going to get into, where we don't have a lot of the technology pieces that some centers already have, not because we don't want them. We've tried to get them. It's just hasn't been approved in the grants when we put in for them. So we'd like to now talk about how life will be easier, because not in spite of the new towns, but because we needed them in order to get some of this stuff pushed through.
So yeah, with the future moving forward and how we're going to be able to handle 6 more towns on top of the 5 and provide you guys the best services is with the new structure. We're going to continue with the executive director, deputy director. We're all aware of that. New position that will be implemented is the operations service chief, who will oversee all workflows, the staffing, and service delivery across all the agencies. It's again taken a little bit away from myself and Liz to work on grants and all that stuff. We're kind of, myself and Liz are doing 7 or 8 different roles currently right now. We're going to split this between a couple more administrative supports positions to help provide the best services across the board. We can only do so much in the hours that we have during the day to provide everything. And at working 7 roles, we just can't physically do it. There's also a support service coordinator who will handle all our HR, payroll, and bills and all that portion, and the compliance, making sure that all our policies are still meeting CALIA standards, as well as our APCO Project 33 accreditation with our training program. Just another person to help provide support to us. With the new model, there's also going to be a logistics service chief who will be our in-house IT/radio technician, who will be available 24/7. So anytime anything happens with a portable cruiser radio, anything with the radio system, we'll have someone on staff to respond immediately and not have to wait for an agency to travel from wherever. Currently right now it's New Hampshire. And to be able to provide other services as well. There's other large centers that have this role already implemented, and they actually go above and beyond just IT and the radio. There's one agency that makes covert police cameras that can be mounted all over the place, whether it's a disconnect switch or a dummy switch anywhere that has a camera and recording capabilities. It just provides more and increased services to the agencies having this position in-house. We'll also have a training service chief who will ultimately take a lot away from Liz's hat right now and provide in-house training with an in-house training lab to provide the best training across the board for all our dispatchers, as well as a quality assurance manager who will be able to review calls in real time, as well as after the fact as well, to find the common shortcomings that some of our telecommunicators may have, find that prior to it becoming a larger issue down the road, and then work hand in hand with that training service chief to implement a training program to resolve these issues prior to them becoming catastrophic down the line. Just these few administrative positions are going to help drastically change service quality across the board tremendously. I believe, and I believe Deputy DeFosse will agree with that, moving forward. So just alone having those positions is going to drastically help us move forward and help provide better services across the board.
And like Mike said, we didn't just like pull names and positions out of a hat. These are all, most of, if not all, are already implemented at other large centers. So there's a reason why the positions exist. Obviously, we can't fund them right now, but with these other towns, this is what we're going to have because it's what we need.
Also, moving forward, we'll have a supervisor on 24/7 that is not working the desk. Currently, right now, our supervisors are call takers, dispatchers at the same time, so they're not actually truly supervising the people under them at the same time. This supervisor will be off the desk, providing real-time quality assurance across the board, making sure that no errors are happening in real time as well. On top of that, currently right now, our dispatcher does everything. Moving forward, we'll split it up, role-based dispatching. We'll have 911 call takers, fire dispatchers, and police dispatchers. across the board. Reducing the multitasking that a dispatcher has to do, reducing the liability, reducing the risk of errors happening with them having to do 3 roles at the same time.
Everybody will be cross-trained, so, you know, one day they might come in and they're gonna just call take that day, or however we split it up, 4 hours or whatever. So everyone will be cross-trained, so we're not gonna need 50 call takers and 50 police dispatchers and 50 fire dispatchers. But the important part is that they're only gonna be working on one thing at a time.
So like we stated, just to recap on our model, our dispatcher does everything from top to bottom, just making it very difficult for a dispatcher to succeed in the current model that we have. It's very outdated and it's high risk at the moment. Moving to the new model, it provides more leadership, future growth. It is a profession. This previously was like a stepping stone position prior to, but now it is a profession. And producing these new positions allows for future growth within the department for dispatchers to help retain dispatchers longer in the future. This exact model that we're talking about currently right now is being used in the NEC, SEMREC, NORCOM, and I think it's North Middlesex as well. And a lot of the centers are accredited on this current model, just to show that this model will work in the future. Like Liz stated, it's not something that we developed and trying to reinvent the wheel. This is already happening right now, and it's already proven to drastically help. I don't think we need to beat a dead horse right now. Let's get through this.
No, did we skip technology, or is that coming up?
No, that's after. So again, like we said, all this is going to improve. And as you can see on the screen, within 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, there's just drastic improvement to services across the board that we can provide if we have these current positions right now in the current environment that we have. Just a little bit more on the future facility location. We have since dropped and shifted gears from Auburn to Charlton, as the Auburn seller is not biting on the over asking price that we put on, at least 800 over, and still didn't bite. So the seller in Charlton has been very great to work with. He's holding the building for us under our time constraints that we have. So that's currently what it looks like. It's a old St. V's medical building. It has a lot of construction and renovation that will need to be done. As you can see on the right-hand side, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see the green underlay underneath all the gray. That's the current building makeup right now. The gray overlay is what we want it to be. So again, it's providing a lot more necessities and resources to the dispatchers that they currently don't have right now. You know, having a gym, a real break room, maternity room, bunk rooms in case of inclement weather, a full locker room, conference room, training lab, multiple different things that we don't currently have, an EOC that can be stood up at any moment for any large events or incidents that are occurring, and fully accessible to all the agencies that are a part of the district. So just going from 900 square feet, currently what we have right now, to 16,000 square feet is a drastic change for us. And we're hoping this continues to move forward in the future. With those 6 agencies coming in currently right now, and we've talked to all these and they're all amendable as of right now, that we are not going to handle single radio channels for every agency. It's going to continue to work like how Barry, Rutland, Hubbardston, and Ocam currently operate with a regional channel. That would be something new for Warren, but to make this work and keep it safe for everybody across the board, we have to maintain this kind of model to keep it efficiently and safe for all the responders out there. So we'll have 4 to 5 main channels with numerous operational channels that can be switched to, that are repeated, so they're not direct channels. You'll have that repeated function.
This isn't in stone. I see you guys really looking at the warrant. People are like, wait a minute. So the towns that we kind of grouped in with you, nothing's set in stone. We just did it as a for example. So we obviously want to partner you with whoever makes sense for you. We just put this together to show what it could look like. So
Yes.
we'll work with you guys.
It's the only way to succeed. There's other large centers that have done the single frequencies for every community. They have since now started their process of now merging communities together to make it safe. It's not safe for even 4 dispatchers to monitor 16 to 20 independent channels and provide safe communications to everybody. It's just impossible without increasing your staff tremendously to monitor all those frequencies. With this proposed change for staffing wise, what it's looking like so far, you'd have 3 to 4 call takers on duty, 3 police dispatchers, 3 fire dispatchers, and a supervisor on duty at all times. So you'll have approximately 10 to 11 personnel on the floor at all times. We'd be switching our operations from 8 hours to 12 hours, and going from 11 employees to roughly 40 to 50 employees at that point to make this happen.
These numbers could change slightly. We're still looking at getting real numbers from other towns. It could be 4444. It just depends on what real call volume numbers are. We've gotten real call volume numbers, but they're not real call volume numbers. So we have to go out and actually get the real numbers from these towns.
And these numbers are not just pulled out of nowhere. There's a national formula that you plug in a bunch of data, work hours, vacation, everything, call volume, benefit time. You input all this stuff in there and it tells you how many people you need per role within the center. So we're going off of a national formula that's working across the United States right now when developing staffing. Just to throw some statistics out there, this is a national study that was done by APCO. Again, down towards the bottom, you can see in 2009, a dispatcher at one time would have to monitor 28 police units, fire 25 units at a time, with maintaining 3 main police channels and 5 secondary channels. That has since drastically reduced in 2018 down to 1611. But it just shows that how centers of our size are operating currently out there and what the capacities are for these roles in the future. It's not saying that we're going to put 16 officers possibly on one dispatcher. Again, that's where that national formula comes into place. It does affect you a little bit, but it's not like a big portion of what you guys are really care about. But there is a cost savings to the agencies moving forward. As you can see, there's current operating budgets. These are current assessment figures that you can see that are being assessed to the communities. So the savings do kind of affect you because that puts more money back into the operating budget of your town community, allowing for you guys to submit for additions to your budget. So the cost does matter. So bringing on these 6 communities drastically does provide some cost savings back to the communities, ultimately allowing you guys to expand, hopefully, at town meetings. So just wanted to give you a quick look at that. That's what the current 6+ Uxbridge that we just talked to today. So those figures will not drastically change, but change just a little bit. Just to provide you guys a little overview. So to make this happen, there is some contingencies that I'm going to have with the state to make this happen, because we're not just going to do this with not helping the current 5 communities that are currently here. So there is some contingencies that I'm going to have in place. So if the state wants this done, well, this is where they're going to have to help and assist and provide funding for as well. So with that being said, we are going to look at implementing tri-band radios across the district. That's portables and cruiser radios and apparatus across the board. Just improving interoperability across the district. That's one of the big projects, as well as station alerting. I think the fire departments know what that is. As soon as the call is put in, it sends out a message. So you won't hear our dispatchers dispatching anymore. It will be a voice that comes over and announces the address, the chief complaint, or what it is. And it will go over the radio as soon as they hit save or enter, whatever the case may be. That will also trigger lights throughout the stations. This is going to be both on the police and fire side. So there'll be LEDs and speakers installed across all the stations, which when these calls are put in, a police call, and these are specific to the agency, the lighting. So there's all, the colors are, there's so many different colors, so you can set it up per agency so that if in a police station, the lights flash, let's say purple, you know it's a medical call. If they flash red, you know there's a fire call going on. Blue, obviously a police call, but you can have it set up anyway. There's so many different combinations that you can set up. And then you can also hear the calls going out through the speakers. That's another piece that we're going to have implemented district-wide. Tablets for all cruisers and apparatus, that's another piece. We want that all across the board. With Hexagon, we're not bound to a Windows device anymore, so you don't have to spend $3,000 on a rugged computer anymore. You can now switch to an iPad or a Samsung tablet with a ruggedized case attached to it and move it forward. Just reduces some of those overhead costs, but we would like to provide that as part of the district expansion to the current 5 as well as the 6 coming in.
And the station alerting really is key because that's where, you know, when we take on 6 more towns, they don't have to learn how to do things now 6 other ways in addition to the 5 different ways. Because as soon as the call taker saves that call, it's going to page out whatever tones you guys selected on the other side of things. So yes, they'll still need to be aware in case extra manpower is needed or there's an upgrade in a structure fire alarm. But on the initial tone, it's really going to save and make response times a lot faster.
We're ultimately eliminating that colored spreadsheet that we put up on the screen earlier. That ultimately gets rid of that entire sheet, reducing some risks and liability. Also, moving forward, so I know a lot of the departments have the video IP phones. We're going to be looking at replacing those, most of them with Alice, a virtual receptionist. This will provide all these agencies that go dark at night better solutions. This is highly configurable. You have a Spanish person in the lobby. This receptionist can talk back and forth and provide the services to them that they need. You can build, every department will build this in the background on how they want it built. But just some of the things that it can provide are on the screen now. Automated greetings, questions, forms that can all be emailed directly to the person as soon as they put their email address in. If you guys set up appointments with people, when they come in, they can check in. It'll take a picture of their ID and then alert whoever they have that scheduled appointment with. It'll send them either an email or a text message saying, hey, this person's in the lobby for their appointment. But there's tons of stuff that this provides, but we would like to implement this across the board. Let's see. This will be a big change for most of the current 5 communities right now. So the 6 communities that are coming on, they're not allowing their stations to go dark. So they're going to be hiring desk officers, civilian people to work their lobbies and handle their non-emergency calls. But the non-emergency calls that are coming into dispatch, we're going to be switching to Prepared 911's non-emergency AI call taking, which will do a lot of the triaging for us ahead of time. Eliminate, hey, I'm looking to get my LTC. This will know the entire process and recite that back to them and then send them a text with the follow-up conversation that they had or the links that they need to follow to obtain an LTC or whatever that case they may be. It's also configured so that it'll know that if someone's having an emergency, if certain words are triggered, it'll automatically send it to a live 911 dispatcher at that point. There's quality assurance, again, there's a quality assurance thing that does live quality assurance. Again, this is another tool for our supervisors to have running during shift that again will provide quality assurance on every single call, every single transmission on the fire side going through. Being able to provide real-time quality assurance will be key with providing the best services across 11 communities moving forward. Again, these are all pieces of technology that we don't have the current funding for, that we will be putting on the state to fund for us to move forward and not, if they don't fund it, then, well, we're gonna have to relook at expanding and trying to figure out how we can do this. But these are big contingencies for me to improve services and provide additional resources for the current 5 communities that we're currently providing services for. And do you want anything to follow up, or are you good? So we just wanted to outline that, just assure you guys that we are not going to move forward without the proper resources and systems in place to make sure that this is done safely and efficiently for everybody across the board, not just the 6 that are coming in. This is not a benefit just for them. It's going to be a benefit for you guys to provide us more funding for additional technology that will be needed moving forward. So at that point, I'll just open it up for any questions, concerns regarding this entire process that we just went over. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Mike and Liz, can I just ask a question? Obviously there's going to be radio engineers involved at some point to you know, figure out how this whole system is going to work between the communities. I'm just curious, you know, for those of us that have our own towers, you know, like we currently have, and we pay, you know, monthly, like what happens if those towers are no longer usable or there are additional equipment that needs to go on to work with the other towns? Like, how do you anticipate that playing out in terms of, you know, these towers that we're leasing right now?
Yep. So we'll end up taking over those payments from you at that point. I hope that you guys are amenable to making this radio system work by joining with other communities. But again, you guys do own your system. We would like to not take full ownership, but we'll maintain the costs. And if these current towers are not going to be available in the future, this study is going to look at that and look at proposed new sites in the future to make it work. It's going to be a third-party consultant that comes in to review the entire system, look at all the frequencies, look at all the current sites and systems that are in place throughout the 11 communities, and try to come up with a radio model that is going to work across the board efficiently. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I just, you know, I'm just curious in terms of how that, you know, if the towers needed extra equipment. I mean, obviously there's going to have to be FCC approvals and all kinds of licensing and stuff, but I just, you know, because we still have, you know, upwards of 10-year leases on some of these towers. So I just want to make sure it doesn't get lost in the shuffle and that, you know, all of a sudden we're no longer using them. So that is part of this build. I just wanted to confirm that.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody, Chief Monaco, I think you had something.
Yeah, that was great. It's a great expansion plan. I'm wondering that through the chair, if we're amenable to maybe make a motion to provide a favorable endorsement to your expansion plan, just so like on paper, it just shows that your operations board is on board
Yes.
with the plan. So I'd make a motion that we provide a favorable endorsement to Director Moriarty and Deputy Director DeFosse's expansion plan.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Awesome.
Motion passes. Thank you. Appreciate that.
No problem.
Any other questions or concerns or anything else regarding that? Anybody else have anything?
Is there any, we ever think about like getting so big to like an 800 like trunking system with the robust network of all this?
So going with 800, you need a lot more sites to make that happen. So the lower the band, the less sites. So 800 is the highest band. We would need drastically, we'd have to drastically have a bigger amount of sites. If we can move towards digital phase, P25 phase 2, every single frequency now turns into two frequencies because of the technology in the background. It allows for technically two people to talk on the same frequency at the same time, but it's separated. So it allows for more. You can do P25 digital trunking as well in UHF. So that again will all be looked at during this entire radio evaluation that this company will do, is providing us the best option moving forward. But I think moving to 800 would cost a ridiculous amount of money to make that happen. There's other avenues in the current band that we're in that'll work as well. We're not planning on changing Warren PD to UHF. They'll stay VHF. Everybody down there, all those 6 communities that have signed on are all VHF, so they'll still stay VHF. You guys are the only UHF besides, I think we just heard that Uxbridge is UHF, but if they do sign on with us, they may have to go to VHF because of everybody around that is VHF as well. So you guys are planned to stay UHF, but going digital, which will provide additional amenities or resources that you don't currently have because we're not digital yet. That will affect everybody around us as well. So this will have to be coordinated perfectly because all your neighboring agencies have to know that you're going digital and have to do reprogramming of all their equipment to be able to hear you guys in the future or talk with you as well if some of them have the capabilities of switching over to your frequency. We'll have to plan that accordingly, but that is the goal of the district, is to move everybody to digital in the future.
Okay.
It does increase service quality within the current service area. It doesn't expand it, but it improves what you have now. It improves that. So areas where you may come in staticky right now, but you can still hear people, it'll come in crystal clear at that point. You'll know there'll be less walking on each other, because I know everybody hears that from time to time. Everybody's walking on each other. With digital, it doesn't allow that to happen. You get a busy signal when you try to transmit moving forward. So it'll resolve some of those issues that we currently see right now within dispatches when two people are calling in. If we don't answer properly, the two call in at the same time again. So if we don't know who's calling in, it's just going to cause more issues. So, yeah.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
do you have a timeline on when this study is going to be done, and is it already set up, or?
So we're going through the scope of work right now and trying to put that together right now on what that's going to consist of with our current radio engineer. And then that'll be put out. I'm looking to receive state funding for that ahead of time. There's different avenues that I can approach to get that funding prior to a development grant, which we want to be awarded until June. So we really want to keep this project going. So I'm hoping within the next month or so that I can finalize that scope of work and get an answer on funding to start moving forward with that. And it's going to be a lengthy process to put all these pieces together to see where it's going to be. So I don't expect to have anything anytime soon to know where we're at, but it's going to be in the process of moving forward and hopefully know something by July of next year. And then this entire expansion process, again, we're going to try to, the district can, and now that we're a district, and as of July 1 of next year, we have to be off Rutland's books and have our own finances and everything like that. So by July of next year, the district has the ability to bond, and whatever that bonding assessment is, we'll be applying for under the development grant for the state 911 department to pay for that bond. That will go, the bond that I'm talking about is the building and the equipment that's going to be installed in there. We'll bond it all at one price, and then the state will pick up that tab moving forward. It is a development grant. It is competitive, but with previous centers that have just been built or put online, like Westcom in Chicopee, that just turned operational maybe a month ago. That was fully funded by the state 911 department. Their bond assessment is being paid by the state 911, so there is no additional cost to the communities for the building as it's being paid by the state 911 department.
I got another question.
Yes, sir.
So right now we're looking at possibly 11 of us, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
So 12, 31. If the 16 were to come on, does that mean all of our assessments would go down even a little bit more?
Yeah, so as communities come on, some of these communities we may not have to add overhead, like dispatchers being put on the board. But obviously, some of these, as you can see, Southbridge, Northbridge is pretty busy. With their call volumes, we may have to put on some more people. But if we bring on 16, I think currently right now we're in one bracket on the State 911 Support Incentive Grants assessment formula. I think if we get into that 15 plus, we're on a totally different formula schedule, which will change the State 911 funding that comes into the center. I don't have that up on a slide, but with these communities coming in, these 6 communities, our State 911 funding goes from 539 to 2.1 million with the 6 coming in. So you can see there's a drastic increase in State 911 funding that's coming towards us. That's just on the support side to offset payroll. That's not even including the development grant, the training grant, and the EMD grant that will offset furthermore for those assessments furthermore down the line. Those are not figured into those figures currently right now because we don't know what that's going to be because they can't provide those assessments right now. But under training, any training that's being done, their payroll and their fees can be picked up by the training grant. So that furthermore reduces those wage figures that are currently in that proposed budget. So to answer your question, yes, I believe with the other 5 that are still that we're talking to, if those do come in, I do see further reductions in your assessments moving forward with additional dispatchers on the floor providing those services too. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Now, through the chair, the board will review and address any outstanding matters previously brought up before the operations board, including items continued, tabled, or requiring further action from prior meetings. This falls under old business. If anybody has anything that they want to discuss under old business, we can discuss that now. If not, we can move forward. All right, and now moving to open discussion, public comment. This is an opportunity for board members of the public to provide comment. The board may respond briefly to request clarifications or refer matters to future agenda placement. No action will be taken during this item.
One thing I want to bring up, code 1, and I guess it's more a police question. Is this a police only function?
Negative. On our side, I can answer it's not.
All right, so I think about when our ambulance crew got attacked in Barry this past summer. It would have been nice if it is a fire function, that's great, but it would have been nice if our guys knew, they could do something like a code 1 to quiet the air and get the help needed.
So we can push out our fire communications policy to yourself, and you can disperse it amongst your members. We'll disperse it to everybody. Code 1 is not specifically assigned to PD. It is a fire function as well with any imminent danger to any public safety. It's not just dispatch's role to initiate that. That can come from your guys' side as well. Any officer or firefighter can request a code 1 immediately, halting all radio traffic. So we'll send that out, which is outlined in there. There's I think maybe 5 or 6 call reasons that code 1 is automatically announced when that call goes out. But besides that, it's discretion of the dispatcher and units out in the field. Okay.
I think that's a good point too, even just because we have a lot of times where like sometimes new officers or fire department will call in and be like, what is a code 1? So I guess having everyone know about it saves that call from coming during the code 1. So that'd be good.
And those, so when a code, just to further describe the code 1, when the code 1 is put out on, I think it's on all, is the channel marker is placed on all other.
Yeah, I think
other channels, which is that you'll hear that
I think
beep
it's on all.
and then that pause, you'll hear that going. That's to alert everybody else that may be just turning their portable on. If you hear that, that means the code one's initiated and it's active right now. That's what that's used for. It's used nationally around the world. But it's to alleviate dispatch having to make an announcement every so often to alert people coming on shift or people putting on their radio because they were just in the restroom, coming out of a building that they had no reception in. It's just a notification to everybody that there is a code one active. So if you hear that beep and then like the radio keying up for, I think it's like a second or 2 seconds, that's what that is. I think that's outlined in the fire communication policy as well. So that's something that you can just teach your people on the other end of, that's what that is when they sign it.
That simulcast over all the frequencies.
All, yep. All the frequencies that we own,
Right.
just not LPS 7 and say.
Sure. Yeah. and then,
Yeah,
Regional police, fire, tech.
and Warren.
And, right.
Yep.
And we just want to welcome, like, if anyone new wants to sit in dispatch, police or fire, to let us know, because I'm happy to put something together. I think this was something that was kind of forgot about, but put something together for whoever they sit with to kind of go over this stuff. There's a lot of IMC stuff, I think, that doesn't get relayed to the responders, and this is one of them. That would be helpful for everybody to be aware of.
Yeah, because I think like Rutland PD, I think has it built into their training or FTO process, whatever you want to call it, where their new police officer has to sit for a certain amount of time in dispatch to just see our side of it, you know, to understand what happens on our side when they're out in the field as well, so that they're not thrown for a loop. So we welcome every department, every agency to do that as well. I think it's beneficial in the long run, if they're not already coming from that role already, because a lot of times a lot of police officers are coming from dispatch. But if they're not, I think it's beneficial in the long run for them to at least see it. Doesn't have to be forever, for a long period of time, but just a little bit, just so they can get the gist of how we operate.
Sometimes we can just teach them tricks and stuff too, like, oh, you're trying to close a call on your end and it's not working. Well, I can show you exactly why. So it'll, you know, just a little bit tips and tricks that we can offer as well.
Anything else?
One more.
Yes.
You're aware we run a 7-town regional animal control service.
Yes.
We centered dispatchers for 2 of those 7 towns, and our animal control officers then answer to 3 separate dispatch centers. It's a very high priority of mine to consolidate that communications process for them. So I would like to start moving forward. And so I know you just gave the big presentation on how much work you have, and I would like to give you a little bit more, and understanding, of course, that will result in an assessment to that, you know, obviously we'll discuss with the board of directors. But, you know, my initial thought is, you know, we'll figure out how that assessment works, and then you just make that assessment to the town of Rutland.
Gotcha.
And then when we do our annual animal control assessments, we'll split that up between the 7 towns that, you
So
know.
you'd build the 7 towns.
Yes,
Okay.
we would build it. We would, you know, you would assess us for whatever the assessment is, and then we would split that up to the towns that we cover and build them as, you know, build it into their animal control assessment or communications fee. Or, you know, something. So I'm just trying, you know, obviously, we don't expect any action on it today, but, you know, just putting it on the radar that, you know, plus, I mean, it's gives you a little more opportunity as you build out too. And you're adding all these towns. If you're covering the successful regional animal control district, maybe that expands in conjunction with your expansion.
Yeah,
So,
that would make our lives a lot easier.
yeah. Instead of taking calls from, you know, or them, you know, the ACO taking a direct call from Boylston, who then has to call you anyways to
Mhm.
tell you where they're going.
Yeah, so that AI call solution will also take that information. So if it's like a lost dog, the AI can process all that information and create a call in Hexagon for that.
Yeah.
Ultimately, alleviating a lot of work for the dispatcher, but it's still putting it in. There's still action that needs to be done. But once it's put in, it's also making those pages to those people that need to be notified at the same time. So it does have that option as well,
Yeah.
moving forward. So if we do grow and that's a route that we do go and start visualizing all that the AI solution will help with that, which will ultimately reduce some of those assessment figures because there's not so much interaction that the dispatcher will have unless it's something emergent, animal bite or something like that.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
Do you have room for a kennel at your facility?
At that facility, yeah, actually, technically, we will own quite a bit of land
All right.
once we move, so it's a possibility.
Regional Fire Training Center?
I don't think we have that
Who's
much.
got it?
Yeah, I wish. Any other items for open discussion, public comment, anybody?
Two quick things, Mike and Liz. So just so you guys are aware, and I just found out about this 20 minutes before this meeting started. So we are going to be starting immediately primary coverage for the town of West Brookfield for fire. They have had some issues over there and they don't have enough staff. So from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we're going to be an automatic dispatch for an engine coverage over there. If you guys could just make a note and send a blast out to your dispatchers that you're probably going to get requests for the foreseeable future while things get straightened out.
All right,
And when they call over to us, they'll say for the engine.
Yeah, they'll request an engine from us. I believe they also are requesting an engine from Brookfield as well. So they're trying to work that out. But I had a phone call today from the town administrator over there that's the policy they're implementing effective immediately until they get some things straightened out.
And if you guys hear, because obviously like
Yeah.
you're listening, if your personnel calls in, I'm just throwing this out there because we have had it happen before. We'll put out the message to everyone. If you guys call in and say, hey, we're, towing us for the engine to West Brookfield, just have it worded like that. So then they're not like, well, do you need a tone if it's coming from you guys? But yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, we'll kind of guide you guys as best we can. Obviously I'm going to be listening up, and you may hear me, go over there and just request a tone because there's going to be one going to be requested shortly. So I may just say,
Yeah,
put
that's
out the
true.
tone to speed things up a little bit. But yeah, we'll do the best we can with that. But, that kind of got dropped in our laps earlier this morning. So, we'll do the best we can to help them out.
Perfect. Sounds good.
And then my other quick question, we had that really unique scenario that happened the other day with the two dispatching centers getting patched together. I'm just curious, any fallout or any lessons learned from that? I had nothing to do with us, but I know the state got involved and they were able to track it down to that vehicle. Like, going forward, God forbid something like that happens again. Could you provide a little insight as to the group as to how that was remedied?
Yeah, so like you said, it wasn't anything to our fault or any of our first responders' fault. It actually was I believe either North Brookfield or New Braintree car one. They had a new radio installed in there. The vehicle was handed down to the deputy chief who was not familiar with the radio. Press some buttons, which has a cross repeater in it, which allows two frequencies to be patched together. He did not know he hit that. It started at like 9 in the morning and went to, I think, well into the afternoon before we were able to track it down. We had our radio vendors looking. Ultimately, the state, because it was on the state side of the system, the MSP radio engineer was able to confirm that it was coming from like the North Brookfield, New Braintree area. At which point, I'm not sure how that person found out that he pressed the wrong button, but it was communicated back to us that it was an error on their part. It's really hard to narrow down where it's coming from without our next step with the state police was someone was going to have to go out with an antenna and triangulate and just go around community to community to see where that beeping was coming from. And it would have took hours to find, but they would have found it. But that's the only way to really narrow down where that was coming from. It's not something that would have showed up on anybody's consoles that it happened. It's something that there's no alert function to allow you to know that. Instead of it, there should be something mounted in that vehicle. I think there's a few of those vehicles. I believe Spencer, North Brookfield, and a couple of the Brookfields have this option. But a indicator light on their dash or something should be installed, I think, to let them know that that's on and patching. But yeah, is a little argument going back and forth between both centers over the radio because everybody thought they were on their own frequency, and when it's patched, it's everybody's talking on the same thing. So it sounds like it's coming from each other. But yeah, that's
I mean, I guess now we can say, well, who has patching capabilities? Can you have them check their vehicle?
Well, I think that's what the bigger conversation was, and obviously it wasn't on your guys' end. And, you know, I know that the District 7 put out a tone, an emergency, you know, basically alert for everyone to check it. But I think that ran in just, you know, for everyone. And the reason I bring it up is because I don't think, you know, people realize how many radios are out there that have these patching capabilities and whether or not they know how to use them. And that particular circumstance really could have crippled a lot of towns, you know, with the two centers, you know, paging over each other. And so that was kind of a very unique thing that happened. I've never seen anything like that happen. And the only reason we caught it was because myself and Kyle happened to be at the station and all of a sudden heard the clicking, and we're like, what is that? And then all of a sudden we heard, you know, Hubbardston coming over, you know, or a tone for Hubbardston coming over New Braintree. So we figured out what was going on and we started making phone calls. But yeah, unfortunately, there's no really easy fix for something like that. And I think it's, I know our district is looking at pushing out some, you know, information and education on, you know, how much damage you can do by having these radios that have these capabilities and not knowing how to use them.
Yeah.
totally agree.
The only other thing that I'd like to say real quick is just a reminder, December 17th. Obviously, we'd like to see people there because they're going to be sending representatives from their towns. It would just be nice to show that, like, you guys are on board with what the future is going to look like.
That was at 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
at the library.
At the library on the 17th. Yeah. You'll have to sit through some of the meeting, but it'll be a short meeting.
You're bringing breakfast.
Yes, there'll be refreshments there as well. So there'll be coffee and refreshments, everybody. Any other items for open discussion? All right, just the last thing that we have, want to set up a meeting placeholder for these meetings. Does the operations board want to have these monthly or quarterly moving forward? I want to put something in place, get something on the schedule so that we're not trying to decide these here and there. I'd like to have something more regular. So to the board, be amendable.
Quarterly. With the expectation if we don't have a quorum, you know, it can happen the next month or something.
Gotcha.
We're not just gonna skip a meeting because.
Everybody else okay with quarterly, or would they like to see it monthly, or?
Can we call, like, if something comes up between quarter?
Yes. Yeah, if we need to have a special meeting, yes, yes.
I was gonna ask that. I mean, with all the stuff in motion right now, I mean, I'm fine with quarterly, but you know, it'd be nice to know, you know, additional communities coming on, timeframes for studies coming out. So I guess if there's anything groundbreaking that we should know about, you know, if we could have one scheduled and see if we can put one together if we need to.
Definitely, yeah. And to go on the other side of it too, if the quarterly meeting comes up and there's absolutely nothing to discuss, we can always cancel that and move it to the next quarter or next month if need be. So, but everybody's amendable to quarterly. Is there a certain day of the week that's best for everybody?
Anything but Monday.
Nothing, no Mondays.
What is our admin board? What day?
Every third. So our admin meeting is every third Wednesday of every month. So they're on a monthly schedule. So just so you're aware, it can't be the third Wednesday of the month. We want to propose a certain day of the week so that I can put a schedule out and put reminders out.
Tuesday. Just throw.
Mike, just so you know, Central Mass and Chiefs usually has Tuesdays at the beginning of the month, and
Okay,
Tuesdays usually.
Ash Chiefs is usually on a Thursday, but that's quarterly.
Yes.
So I don't know if you want to do it towards the end of the month.
Could we propose Wednesday?
and the month, okay. So you want to do the Wednesday, the last Wednesday of the month?
That would
I
work.
mean, I think that works for us. I don't know about the others.
Sure.
Chief
Fine.
Hayes,
That's fine.
that's fine, okay.
Last Wednesday of the month.
So I'll put out a calendar invite for that. That'll repeat every quarterly.
do we have to wait till next quarter to try to get answers on things? Okay,
That's what the special meetings are
Okay.
for. So we'll set a special meeting for that, but just want to get the quarterly schedule together and put out, and I'll put that out after this. That was the last item.
that was tabled.
So now through
Minutes.
the chair, I ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, meeting is adjourned at
13:46.
13:46. Thank
Thank
you,
you, everybody.
everybody.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
You too.